Good evening. Thank you for coming. We start tonight a series of new meetings around the tables. As we know, we entitled these projects, these small meetings, Tisch. Tisch is a table in German, in Yiddish, and it's a kind of a ceremony that we started a few years ago. And the main aim is to look together, to eat some refreshment, to drink wine, and to exchange ideas. And we had the first meeting in Venice about a few months ago in Saturnia. You know that our project Beyond the Skin deals with many connections to the skin, physically, metaphorically. Hi, Gian. Good evening. We have our two friends from Venice, Luciana and Luigi, Viola, and Gian, Pozi, poet and artist from Venice. This is our Venice team. We have friends from the United States. We have by now Gandhi, but we shall have in a few minutes other friends. We have from Israel some friends. We have here tonight Professor Yehuda Roth, Professor Isaac, who will present himself and his presentation. We have Yasmin. Yasmin, she's expert in tattoo. We have tonight tattoo. We have Michael Lazar. Professor Michael Lazar is dealing with sea studies in the University of Haifa and performance art. And we have, of course, Amir Cohen, our boss, all the communication, design, artists. We have Nitza, also a brilliant artist. Nitza was in all our meetings, also in Venice. Who else? And we have Iran. Iran is over there in the background. Iran Gil, which is the technical manager of our project, and he will be in Venice in September with us. As you know, we have a meeting in between the 5th of September until the 8th of September, 4 days at the Art Academy of Venice space in Venice. So tonight, our aim is to make the first meeting. We record and we take the video of this session, and we shall probably project it in the Judaica. All this series of meetings, we shall show it during our Venice project. So we were trying to invite tonight versatile artists and scientists from few fields, and to try to analyze the meaning of what we call layers. Layers in each of those fields of our variety fields. So we shall do like always, one by one, and you are welcome to donate your idea to our meeting. But this time we decided, it was Yehuda's idea, to invite Isaac. Isaac will present himself, and his presentation with very, very unique. So, Isaac, yeah.
So, hi everybody.
Isaac, che si presenta.
Let's put the presentation.
Yeah.
So my father was an upholsterer. He was also a painter and a sculptor, very talented man. And when I was a kid, I used to watch him work. Later on, I became a plastic surgeon and I adapted some of his principles in my work. And that's what I'm going to present now, what I've done. So we are going to speak about the collagen fibers polarity in fascia skin. Okay, please. Okay, second. Next. Next. So if we speak about skin upholstery, how may the 3D structure of the skin, 3D structure, affect the outcome of reconstruction with grafts and flaps? Next. Next, please. So some principles of upholstery. This is upholstery fabrics. We can see first line, in the fabric there is no polarity and no grid. In the second line, you can see different polarity in the fabrics. You see up to down and you see side to side. And if you go to the next line, you see different grid. There is no polarity, but there is different grid. Next. Now, this is a professional upholstery. You can see that the upholsterer measure and put exactly the lines in alignment with each other, so it looks great. Next. This is not so professional upholstery because the lines are not aligned. You can see it's not too bad, but it's not perfect work. Next, please. This is a total chaos. It's unacceptable, of course, and there is no any alignment of the lines. The same happens on the skin as you will see later. Next, please. So collagen fibers, they have polarity. This is collagen fibers alignment in a scanning electron microscope. Next, please. Next. This is another image. It's done with a confocal microscope. And again, you can see the collagen fiber have certain polarity. It goes from up to down. It's very obvious here. Next, please. This is another example where the lines are going obliquely, but there is a polarity of the collagen fibers. Next, please. So we can have some definition of the skin. We have grid, the skin 3D grid, which is texture actually, is a three-dimensional structure of the skin determined by grid of the dermis and the epidermis, by the condensation of collagen and elastin fibers, by dispersion of adnexal elements like sweat glands and sebacin gland, and the structure of the interstitial subspaces. All are giving the grid a certain affinity of the grid in one place of the skin. And then another definition is skin polarity. It may be defined by the direction of the collagen and elastin fibers. Next, please. Now, how may collagen polarity be reflected in plastic surgery? Next. Next, please. Let's speak first about skin grafts. Next. Here you can see a skin graft. I hope everybody can see some defects on the skin and it is not repulsing for you. So this is, no, go back please. This is a skin graft and you can see on the right side, it's not a great result. It's a moderate result because you can see the skin graft. Next, please. On this example, it's a good result because you can hardly see the borders of the skin graft. Next, please. So this is how we do a skin graft. You can see the defect on the nose. We take the skin graft from behind the ear, so nobody will see a scar there. And then we put it to cover the defect. But the many ways how to put the skin graft. You can put it like you see on the left side down, or you can see on the right side. Nobody tells us how to put it. Maybe it affects the result. Let's see. Go on, please. So maybe if we put it like in the left side, down in the left side, maybe the collagen fibers align with the skin around, so you can get good results. And on the right side, maybe it's 90 degrees, and that's why you don't get good results. We don't have works about it. It's very obvious theoretically, but we have to prove it, of course. Next. Next, please. So maybe when we put the collagen fibers exactly in alignment with the skin around, what we see here is optical fusion of the connection between the fibers of the skin graft and the rest of the skin. And down, if you look, if you put it in an angle, maybe it causes a bad alignment called a distort fusion. And that's why you have a scar that is not so good. Next. You can see this example go up to the left. This was the defect. And you see that what I did here, I took the skin graft and moved it from up to the defect. I kept exactly the line with the collagen fibers. I didn't put any angle, and it's also the same skin, so it's the same fabric or the same grid. So in the middle, you see after 2 weeks, and in the right side, you see after 1 year, actually, you cannot see any scar. I hope it's convincing. If you look down, you see the chair. It's exactly the same idea, that the lines are in alignment. Next, please. On the other hand, on this example, you see a very bad result because this skin was taken from the groin. The groin has a totally different grid and probably a different, also different directions. If you look at the chair, the left side, it's a total chaos. We don't want result like this. Next. Unless you are a very special artist. Next.
Surrealist.
So we ask ourselves, is there an anatomical explanation for that? It's all theory, we have to prove it. Next. Skin have a different grid in different parts of the body, but does it have a distinct polarity? I think yes. Next, I'll try to prove it. Let's speak about flaps. So this is a chair, and you see a perfect alignment of the lines. So the first type of flap is the advancement flap. I'm teaching you basic plastic surgery. This is advancement flap on the right side. We simply move the skin at the same direction to cover the defect. Next, please. So if you look on the nose here, this is two advancement flap that I move. I don't have, maybe if I go there, they will see it. They will see me if I go there?
No.
You don't have a pointer.
Show me what you want to show.
Let me see. I can do it here. Just a moment.
One moment. Now you can draw on the picture.
Where is the arrow?
Yes.
I just want the arrow.
You see it.
Do you see the arrow on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, what we do is we move this skin from here to here, and this skin down from here to here. When we do this, we keep the direction exactly on one alignment. Never mind, just okay. Exactly here, the same. We move the skin from here to here and from here to here, so it does not change the direction. So this is the result. You can see perfect result. This was the defect. This was the result on a young woman. And also here, you can see no scar because we keep the alignment. Like you see here, the alignment is kept. Next. Okay, so this is another example of a flap. It is called VY island flap. And again, we move it to the same direction. We don't add any distortion of polarity. Okay, so collagen fibers keep the same alignment. And look, almost no scar. Next, please. The second type of flap is a rotation advancement flap. In rotation advancement flap, you have 10 to 20 degrees distortion of polarity. It's not much. And so the result should be quite good. Next, please. So you can see here, we move, just a moment. Okay, so this is the defect. This is the defect. This is the flap. It moves from up down and gives this. This is after the reconstruction. And because you keep almost the same alignment, you have almost perfect result. You don't see scar. Another example to show you that it's not the only case I have. And this is the flap going down the same direction, almost maybe 20 degrees distortion, and very good results. Next, please. This is another example just to show you we keep the same direction and we have excellent result, no scar on the right side, on the nose and on the ear. Next, please. So the cell type, very interesting, is called transposition flap. I don't like it because it's a 90 degrees distortion of direction. You can see here, goes from here to here. And this is what happens to the collagen fibers. And you see very bad result here. Okay, I hope I can convince you. You see, this is 90 degrees. It comes from the cheek, 90 degrees to the nose. This is the result. Another case from the cheek to the nose. This is the result. This is after like 3-4 years. Very bad result, 90 degrees. Next. So it's the same as upholstery. If you keep the direction, you get good results. Now, if you remember what I showed you before, here, what we did is the same transposition flap from the cheek to the nose, but instead of 90 degrees, we do also only 30 degrees. And the result is much better. We are not breaking the direction of the fibers. Next. Now, look, this is a very interesting example. In this case, total chaos, like here. Okay, what we did, we took flap from the forehead to the inner canthus. The forehead is a very thick skin, so it's a different grid. You take different grids from here to here. Then it's 90 degrees. So result is terrible. This is after 1 year. Unacceptable at all. But if we do a simple trick, just a moment, I'll show you. You see here, there's exactly the same defect on the canthus, but instead of doing 90 degrees from the forehead, we did only 30 degrees, and you see much better result. So I can give you 1,000 examples again and again, and it's also the same. All the time it's the same. Does facial skin have polarity? Is it consistent in different parts of the face? Nose, cheek, forehead, etc.? I don't know. I have only my theory. We have to prove it. This is with confocal microscope, Maryland University. You can see the direction here. Next. This is from Weizmann Institute with a 2-photon microscope. You see distinct direction of the collagen. Why nobody is paying attention to it in plastic surgery? I don't know. Next. Fascial skin line maps. So this is from the 19th century. We have some different theories. We have the skin tension lines, which were described by Lange in 1861. We have Waken lines, which are 90 degrees, where the muscle pull, and we have relaxed skin tension lines, which are simple wrinkles. You can get it when you do a gentle pinch of the skin. So this is something that everybody knows, but nobody checked yet the direction of the collagen polarity in the face, and it's not so difficult to do it, but it's a lot of work. This is how to do it. I'm not going to go into it now. So we're almost finished, and we have suggestions for future studies. First of all, we have to investigate the architecture of the collagen fiber and to map it and to do a map of the fibers. And when we do reconstruction, to use this map to build the right reconstruction. Then we investigate the collagen fibers architecture in the fetus. Why, when you do intrauterine surgery, there are no scars at all? We can investigate the change of the collagen fibers arrangement from the fetus to the old age. What happens during time? We can investigate change of collagen fibers arrangement in scar. What happens in scar? First, it looks bad, and then after 1 or 2 years, it gets better and better. Maybe first there was a distortion of the collagen fibers, and maybe in time the body gets the right arrangement of the fibers, and that's why scars look better. We can investigate the chaos polarity in keloid scar. Keloid are very bad scars in some people. Then we can investigate the change in collagen arrangement during the healing process. Like in the connection points that I showed you, what happens here? In the beginning, maybe it's bad, and then maybe in time, it gets better alignment. We don't know it, and it's not so difficult to do it. Next, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very interesting. You want to ask something or?
Yes. Before, can you stop sharing?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to address some non-surgical, non-medical thought that perhaps may provoke some responses. I was wondering while I heard your talk, if there may be some possibilities which are currently non-existent for some physical means to change the polarity of the collagen fibers, like some sort of radiation or sound waves or magnet forces, or perhaps chemical possibilities like medication, aerosols, or any kind of ointment that may change the polarity and thus can change the wrinkles, can change the skin folds, and perhaps not just rejuvenate the skin, but also perhaps change our faces into completely different faces, like we do while we are painting, say, with oil paints. Another question which came to mind is what happens inside the uterine? Why fetuses don't develop scars? What's the secret? What is so special about the environment within the uterine that leaves us without scars? either physical or perhaps also spiritual scars. What is the special environment of the uterus?
Yes. Mother? Anybody has any question? If not, then we go ahead. Okay, so thank you very much for the nice 2 ways, which is really weird and new for me. But metaphorically, as I said before, I think that it's very interesting. It gives the new ideas to think about. Luciana, could Luigi say something? Even Luciana? Luciana? Are
Yes,
you with us?
Luigi will say something.
Yeah, we want to ask Luigi, as one of the
Okay.
initiative of the project, to donate something to the layers and maybe to say something about the whole project in Venice in general. That could be amazing.
Che
And you
potessi
can
dire
translate.
qualcosa sul progetto di Venezia. Beh.
אוקיי, כמה מילים. ערב טוב לכולכם, חברים יקרים. For several reasons, I will not be able to follow completely the entire roundtable session. The reasons also include the fact that I am in a very windy area with poor connectivity, but I at least want to say hello and wish you to do a good job this evening in view of the meeting in Venice. And the chosen topic, layers, is very complex and offers many possibilities for analysis. This concept has many meanings that can open up enormous horizons of reflections. From the meaning of stratum to that of hand, game, deposit, and flap or offshoot, each of which opens up infinite explorations. I say this in relation to art, but this certainly also applies to science. My very stammering English does not allow me to say more this evening, but I will be able to prepare a more in-depth speech in Venice, okay? Ultimately, our imagination, the one that pushes us to seek new solutions in the work of art, responds to these characteristics of stratification, of lived experiences, of play, of exploration of the deposits of ideas and intuitions that are created over time, ideas that flow as in an underground layer, sometimes emerging as offshoots, revealing themselves as real stratigraphies of our physical, emotional, and spiritual life. Thank you for this evening, for the invitation of this evening, and I wish you good work. And to Venice the next September.
Thank you so much. Luciana, do you want to add something?
No.
Okay.
That's enough.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all the connection with the Art Academy in Venice. and all your efforts to realize this meeting. And we're looking forward, of course, to meet. It's just that, Luigi, I wanted to propose, since Michael Lazar is sitting here and you dealing with the ocean, with all the creature in the sea, he is expert in sea studies, so you can communicate maybe directly about the layers, because this is Luigi's field. It's the kind of ecology thought, and you can collaborate with Michael directly. We shall exchange the email addresses. It could be great.
Okay,
Welcome,
yes,
Suzy. I see that you join us. You hear
okay.
us?
okay,
Hi, my
okay.
dear.
Thank you very much.
Thank-
Bye.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much. Hi, Ratna. How are you? Ratna and Suzy, they are from United States, from New York, from.
Yeah.
uh,
Hello. Hello, everyone.
how are you, my dear?
I'm good, Doron. Good to see you all.
We are okay. Ratna is from the India. Actually, she's now in the United States, but we collaborate many years together. We had many projects. Omri, I want to welcome you because it's the first time that we are talking about the meaning of fashion. And I know that layers in fashion has a lot of meaning, but I think that as an artist, you're dealing with the meaning of collages. Am I right? And I think that
Yes,
the way that you done with your grandfather, he was a
I can
painter. So maybe you should relate to it.
I can also show you some samples if you want.
Yes.
Okay. So nice to meet you all. My name is Omri Goren. I'm a fashion designer. I did my doctorate in the Sorbonne in Paris, and I'm teaching in Bezalel Academy and in Haifa University now, what used to be Witzo. So my research with the layers that Doron talked about, I'm taking my grandfather paintings and I'm take some quotes from them, and I'm taking some skin from the people that he was drawing, and I'm putting them in a new places, like a new composition around the body. I'm doing I'm also fashion designer, but I'm making in the last few years jewelry and art objects that dealing with and relate to the body. This was a mask and brooches with all his paintings from his portraits collection. This I took a lot of men paintings that he was a bit homophobic, and I'm gay. So this is the real subject that I'm dealing with. I'm taking his portraits, his paintings, and I'm putting in a position that he doesn't have a lot of respect to. I'm doing some collage that I'm taking a few parts and putting in a new kind of perspective or composition. I just want to show you the last project before I finish. It's from Bezalel when I was a student. I took his real portraits, his real paintings, and I did with them 5 garments, 5 pieces of clothes that from the real paintings and from the real frames. And only when I'm doing like a manly or woman gest. So with the body, his paintings framed or become a gallery. Only when I'm open something, you can see him. He depends on my movement. His publication. We talk about layers, so here is the example that each layer that I'm clothing in the body, on the body, and from the jacket is revealing a new painting of him. So this is me.
So actually, to sum it in a way, you're using the real paintings, pieces, the
Yeah.
layers of the real canvas with the images of body and skin again on the skin. It's a
Correct.
double actions in a way.
Yeah.
And in a
Triple.
way, you communicate with your grandfather by using his layers in your work on your own body / skin. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Completely. Yeah.
Which is very unique. Very unique.
Thank you.
I ask something? Hi, nice to see you.
I didn't get.
Suzy, you're a bit
Suzy?
stuck.
משהו נתקע אצלה.
I was thinking also in terms of the layers, when the last piece, the layers of memory. So, you know, you have his actual work and it's actually touching your body and you're choosing to cover parts and open parts. So I'm just so curious, how was that for you to take his actual pieces and cut them apart? The process of that.
All my professor told me that don't do it. He will how to say in his grave. יסתובב בקברו. Yeah, so they told me not to do it, but I suggested to the family in his memorial day, and I told them about this idea, and my family told me to do it. And because it was the real pain, the real story between us, it was important to me to take the real canvas, the real material, and to use it. It's much stronger, and after it's today, when I'm doing the mask or stuff or all the jewelry, everything is printed. Just the first collection when I was a student in Bezalel, it's from the real paintings, and only 30 ruined or upgraded, as you can choose how to see it. But we have 300 more in the storage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the definition of layers of memory. I think that it's perfect, Suzy. What you said, it's a quite nice title. And I want to welcome Pnina Shor, Dr. Pnina Shor. Pnina is with us and talking about memory. And since Pnina is a PhD in archaeology, if I'm right, no? Sorry.
No, it's an honorary PhD, but it's archaeology, yes.
Okay, by talking about the scrolls from the Dead Sea, when the connection to skin is obviously known because it's made of leather. And I think that you have a lot more to say about memory. Maybe it will connect us to your layers.
Yeah, so unfortunately I didn't make it in time to prepare a presentation, but I can tell you that the 2,000 years old scrolls are made of leather, untanned leather, mainly of sheep, goats, and at times calves. And actually, we're talking about three types of skin, okay? So we have the leather, and then we have
Excuse me, Pnina. All the others, people from abroad, do you hear well what she's telling? Because here we cannot hear well.
Do you hear? All of you, you hear? Can you
We
hear?
hear,
Ratna?
but
Do you hear? You don't hear.
not that good.
There is a Pnina, there is a technical problem in your microphone because you hardly hear what you say.
and now, is it better now?
Yes.
Better? No.
Now it's better. It's better.
Much better? Okay, and now?
Yes,
You
it's
need to
better.
make the maximum, to open the
trying.
maximum.
I'm trying. Now? Is it
Okay.
better now? Yeah, better?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
better.
Okay. So I'm talking about 2,000 years old manuscripts that were written on leather and untanned leather. And this leather is actually composed of, or the leather is divided into three main layers. Okay, it's all of it is of course skin, animal skin, and it's divided into three layers. And the first is called gvil. Gvil, it's a Hebrew word, but it's also, it means the leather itself. And then when you peel it, and this is what klaf in Hebrew means, actually when you peel it, the epidermis, okay, you get two thinner layers on which all of it, actually, all of them serve to write the holy books of the Bible. Okay, so on the thick ones, usually on the hairy side of the leather, you write the Bible. And on the thinner ones, what we usually call parchment, but actually parchment is the layer that you peel off. We write the phylacteries, you know, the tefillin that Jewish men put on their forehead when they pray in the morning. These are written on the parchment. And the mezuzot, you know, it's the scrolls that are put on the doorstep, on the doorposts. They're written on what it's called is called doxtus, okay? And the doxtus is actually the Greek word for peeling, again, for peeling the skin of the leather of the animal skin. So actually we're talking about three different layers, all coming from any kind of skin that was chosen. Of course, it's all pure animals that were chosen to be written on. Okay, that's in short.
Nice. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Danny Shine. Danny, how are you?
Yes. Good.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Can you talk about your interpretation of layers in your work? And also, you know, we ask a few questions about the connection of your art, your creation with the layers to the present time, to the actual days. If you could relate to the present in your world. Yeah.
Well, well, what I'd like to say first is just a thought I had on Pnina's presentation is the idea that the Bible was written on the first side, and then the praying part was written on the interior side. So it's almost as if the exterior, the Bible is the communal, and then the interior is the direct spiritual reflection, the kind of flip side of the exterior first side and the interior. Just an observation that came to me when I was listening to it.
Yeah, but it's almost correct, because actually the tefillin were written on the epidermis, okay? They peeled it off. It's not the inner, it's the outer, okay? The epidermis is tighter. And the Bible itself was written on the leather and the hair most of the time, okay? It's not, there's all kinds, but I'm saying most of the time, it was the hairy part of the stick, of the layer, of the leather itself. But it's a very nice idea.
Nice, thank you. Okay, so Duran, I don't know how you'd like me to relate it to.
If you can,
I'm sorry, John.
one of the aim was to try to see whether there is any connection to what we call the I don't know, the present, the world around us. If you see.
Yeah. Well, for my piece, I took a photograph of a 3D printed model of Los Angeles, which was all white. You know, it's a 3D printing. And I'd had it around my studio for a long time, just playing around with it, trying to think about what I might make with it. One day I put a driving map. It's a book called The Thomas Guide. And the map was an example or representation of the same space that was represented by the three-dimensional map. The same place, but two different sort of approaches and two different experiences of it. And then the funny irony is that the 2D stacked up in a book was higher than the model, the tallest building in the model. So there were these funny transpositions of scale and experience. And so when I first started to play around with it, it was just to try to get a photograph of that kind of intersection, that kind of a combination. And when I took the photograph, it was curious to see my foot and my leg and my shadow in the photograph as well. And then the whole thing opened up into a bigger experience for me. And so then it had an element that was very figurative to me as well. So I came to the realization that I was going to call it port. And that has a lot to do with the reason why I was dealing with the maps and stuff. I grew up in Los Angeles, and all of my experiences of driving on the roads. And when I began painting, I wanted to make a abstract language for painting. And I realized there was a correspondence between the road and the streets and the kinds of paintings I love by like the abstract expressionists, the big heroic marks, and the abstract language, which is kind of familiar yet abstract. And this is just an extension of that kind of investigation that I've been following. So it's, for me, it's kind of an interesting combination because it's abstract and it's figurative, and the juxtaposition of the scales. It's a studio photograph. Please ask me a question.
Actually, you're talking about layers of photography. That's what you mean. The kind of layers of the photo that you're taking, if I understand it right.
I would say that, but also the layers and the materials that I'm, or the ideas that I'm also working with, I'd say are very like multi-layered. I'm not just working on one thing. It's just not like a painting where you're applying paint layer after layer after layer.
Yeah.
You're introducing these different elements like a collage, and the combination of all those layers creates a banquet of vision or experience. And I would say layers kind of is represented in that sort of respect to my work.
Okay,
Yes.
that sounds nice. Okay, it's another meaning of collagens that we mentioned before. I want to introduce you to Yasmin, sitting next to me, and Yasmin brought her art on her arm. You can see the tattoo. We were defining Yasmin as a tattoo philosopher. Is it okay? Do you accept my title? So maybe you can relate to the meaning of layers in your creation.
Yeah, wow, there is actually so much to say about this. And I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I also studied in Bezalel many years ago. And throughout the years, I became, aside of being an artist, also a tattooer and tattoo anthropology researcher. And this really opened up the world to me. And tattoo anthropology became a kind of a window to the world for me to understand it and redefine it and understand myself in it and empower myself and others. And I'm also a therapist, so an art therapist. So along the years, I created a kind of a hybrid profession that I call spiritual guidance through the art of tattooing, which is very inspired by indigenous tattoo cultures and ancient art around the world, and all symbolisms and sacred geometry, which is the universal visual language of everything. And this, one of the things that it led me to research is about the four functions of tattooing in indigenous cultures. One of them is medicinal, psychological, social, spiritual, and medicinal. And I found out the work of Didier Nagier about, I don't know what is the name in English of the book. In Hebrew, it's called the eye skin, or the skin body, or something like that. And he's talking about how the very early psychological experience of life defines the way we feel inside our body, inside our skin. And when I read it, it really resonated with me in regards with tattoo anthropology, and what I do as a spiritual guide, and really made me realize that the act of tattooing, the act of marking the skin, and all the great wide definition of body modification is a kind of creating what is known as the chosen body, and how we can use the physical body and the spiritual body as an act of reclaiming and self-reclaiming and identity and memory, and also bringing things from the subconscious to the conscious, and collecting more bits of our souls to adorn us and define us. So yeah, I can say so much more about it, but
Can I ask, do you mean that by adding all those dimensions, you add more layers to the 3 or 4 actual layers of the skin because of the memory and the spiritual importance
Yeah, it's a kind of, yes, I really related to the concept of the unheimlich, the threatening thing that is within us. And for me, when we make tattooing in a conscious way, of course, through a very specialized process, then we can really reclaim our memory, our identity, and really have a really empowering development process through this process. And we get just reacquainted with our subconscious and the collective, and also the collective unconscious. And for me also tattoo culture in the past and in the present and also in the future, because I also investigate futurism in regards with the tattooing. It's never ending, but it's very, very possible to regard tattoo culture as a kind of a humanistic message that connects all humanity. And for me, that's why I love it so much, because to carry on our skin symbolisms and mythology and sacred geometry, it really helps us to remember our real identity as human beings, what is called anthropos, the genuine reclaiming of human identity, which is robbed from us in this day and age.
Where is the line between the collective memory and the personal memory?
I think it's a very
Can you elaborate more
about the connection between
where is the line between where is the line between personal memory that you carry up in yourself and the collective? Can you relate to that?
Yeah, I'm very transpersonal in my approach. I'm very inspired by Jungian psychology and comparative mythology and dream work and symbolism, comparative symbolism. So I think we cannot separate between personal and the transpersonal. I think it's just all one fascia. You know, if to connect.
Now, if you relate to the subject between people, also your philosophy, where direction goes.
The process.
Now it's connected to your art.
Yeah, the process that I created as a tattoo artist is a kind of an emotional and spiritual process where someone connects with me in a very unique time in their life, and we create a kind of a rite of passage for them. We try to understand what is unique about this timing, what is significant about this timing, and then the tattoo becomes a kind of a talisman and a witness for this significant thing or focus in our mind. And also as an artist, I think well, I'm a performance artist also, so I always am very interested in the skin, and not just in the context of tattooing, but of the body itself. And I think one of the greatest subjects that interests me is the subject of
Transgenerational
translation, yeah. And epigenetics. So yeah.
We welcome we have two guests. We have Revital and Fridemann. You just came a little bit late, but Ratna, it's for you. Here is Revital. You didn't see Revital long time. Revital.
Okay. Hi.
I have a question for your screen.
Yes.
I want to ask you if you had any troubles about a Jewish religion that really forbids you from making tattoos in your body.
Did you hear the question? In the Jewish tradition, by the way, talking to you right now about the Indian tradition of using, your skin, maybe it's connected to what Nitza just asked Yasmin about the objection and the limitation of the Jewish tradition, like using tattoo on your body. That was the question.
Okay, so are you asking that in India, do we have that
Yes,
restriction?
of course, yes, I investigated it and had a great interest to understand why there is such a wide prohibition, so-called, in the Jewish tradition. And I found a very interesting research by a professor called Meir Bar-Ilan from Bar-Ilan University. He's a religious guy with very multidisciplinary Jewish researchers. And he collected a lot of references in all of the Judaic literature, and found that there are even that there is a very plausible possibility that the Jewish or the Hebrew tradition did have an ancient tattoo culture, because we can see it also in the word tattooing in Hebrew, lekakia, which is an etymological word. And there are a lot of evidence that this prohibition from the book of Vayikra is a kind of political text that is relevant to the time where it was written. And
Yes, my dear.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to what you were
1
saying.
minute.
Like,
1 minute, we don't hear you. 1 second. Hello, Celine.
On mute.
Mute?
I'm unmuted.
No, it's okay. Now we hear you. Okay, go.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to what she was saying, like even in India, if you have researched, like we have few regions where people used to have tattoo. It is not something that we have today, but it is a pattern on their body, and it's called chundra. So they have all over, like on the neck, here on the faces, on the hand, arms, everywhere. So it was there, yeah, traditionally.
Thank you. What I also found out, which was very interesting to me, is that before Judaism became a very monolithic model of religion, Judaism had a lot of faces, a lot of other expressions which were more pagan pagan in nature, and also and actually all the three great monotheistic religions have a problem with tattooing, because it's a kind of a very personal rite of passage. And I think maybe tattooed people, or people who have kind of a personal, like artists, personal connection to divinity or to the beyond or to personal reflections, don't really need a go-between, like a religious go-between. And people like that are harder to control. So that is...
I think that the main thing, if I may say, is like a kind of competition with God, because our body was seems to be a god creature, and we all of a sudden we take we change it, we convert it, and it's not legitimate. So it's maybe but I want to get back to Revital, because Revital is operating, but on the other medical, but on the other side, you yourself, you using your body as a part of your creation. And I'm not sure that I would define it as a tattoo, but you missed the first presentation of Professor Isaac was here. We're talking about sewing, and maybe you should relate to your very personal body layers that you using in your art in a kind of comparison with the conversion that you're doing in your medical way. Can you get a little bit closer? It would be more easy. And also talking about Danny, talking about your photography, we may ask Fridemann in few minutes to relate to photography in his way of what Suzy said before, layers of memory. You can think about it. You can prepare yourself. Okay, so
I think the beginning is I'm a surgeon, and I deal a lot. I'm a urogynecologist. I'm reconstructing pelvic floor. And most of my work is deconstructing and constructing back again. And I also create vaginas for women and for transgender women. And in general, I'm dealing a lot with scars. So that's maybe the common thing. And I treat the women that have scars, and scars are very unique to each person, and also they have memory that are related to a memory. It can be a difficult birth, a surgery, injury, even genital mutilation. And I'm actually, my interest is scars, but it's like all these things. When I treat other people, I also relate to myself. And I passed a lot of operations, and probably through that I got into this field. And what I'm doing usually when I create my art is I take the things I'm dealing with every day and I work on it with layers. It means that sometimes it's a photograph of something I saw in my work, and then it's been printed on a material like cotton or silk, and I embroider it. When I work about myself, my body is also full of tattoos, and my tattoos are I was thinking now when there was this 7th of October and people were recognized by their tattoos. My tattoos are very personal to me, and I decided on them, and it's my way of feeling, first of all, cover my scars, and also to express myself. And I can quote Nicolas Cage in Wild at Heart. Right. He had this snake skin coat, and every time he repeats this thing that he said, this is my way to express my free will. I think there's more to, you touched it, but there's more to choose. It's also defining God, but also wanting to get out, to stand out proud in a way, and also to express yourself. And part of my works is actually about my scars. I photograph myself, and I printed it on a material. This material is covered by surgery linens, and I embroidered on the tattoo that is on my scars that is lying on this table. So it's a lot of layers, but the layers is not only going down, it's also understanding. Because every time I add a layer, I get another understanding of my feelings about my scars, about my experiences, other people's experiences, and also it's mending all the time. I'm mending it, trying to mend it, but I also, when I work on the art, I understand things about surgery that I didn't understand before.
That's what I wanted to ask you
And
because
it's vice versa also. When I'm operating, I get this in the middle of the surgery, I want to leave everything and go home and start working it out.
but in the medicine, everything is very covered in medicine. It's very intimate. It's very
It's not
and you
intimate.
yourself.
It's not intimate. In medicine, the covers, it's a ritual. You start the surgery, you go wash yourself like in a temple. You cover, you clean the patient, you cover it, and then you are able to penetrate the skin, really touch another person. So it's for me, I always insist on cleaning the patients myself. I have a lot of works also about the iodine I'm applying and the textures, but this is a ritual, I think.
But is it the way that you go to create? Is it a kind of opposite to what you have in your medical career? Do you feel that, like, when you're talking about your own scalp, are you exposing something out that you're not able to do in your other way? That's what it's something which is.
It's of course, first of all, it's the same thing. We should know that it's the same thing. It's art is there and medicine, it's together. It's not something you can separate. But definitely when you approach someone with scars and you doing the process of mending it, it's an active thing, and I think it's because I have personal problem with the scars. Otherwise, I would cover them. So for me, it's to close a circle. But also it's a circle for people because many times when I fix the scars, and I'm not always fixing scars by cutting them and suturing again. I'm cutting them like I'm releasing them, and then I work with pressure. Like it's like sculpture. It's like, and I also, the patients are working with me. They do some work and they come back to me. It's like an interactive thing. So it's also it's a even the way I see the vagina. I know that other people don't see the vagina as I do. For me, the anatomy is so clear, and every time I see like someone suture a vagina to the delivery, and I see that they don't understand the way it should be. I don't know if I'm clear.
You're clear, and we know Courbet very well.
What?
We know the creation of Courbet, the knowledge of the wall, the vagina.
Yeah, but it's a kind of thing that's I'm getting to what you asked me. So many times I feel that I see the thing different than other people, and it's not always easy to change things culturally, religiously, and also talking to my colleagues and convince them. And for me, the art is a completion. It's like I can say what I think, I can fix things I cannot fix, and also I can, when you mend on a cloth, it's reversible. It's not like breaking somebody and it's like a fixed thing.
Let me try.
Something that proves the fate of plastic before, because it's a process. Something happens also to the two in time. And
let me move to Michael. Michael, also like you, is running double careers. One is a professor in the sea studies, as a geophysics, which is layers of soil, I would say, or earth. And on the other way, you have your performance work where you using your body or your skin as a part of your creation. And talking about, like Revital was mentioning, the exposure layers, if I would say. Do you see any similarity, or I would say any inspiration in between your two careers as a geophysics or or a performing artist. I just want to quote something which Michael said several times, that most of the geophysics people, they never touch Earth. And a geo, you know that geo is Earth, it's a soil. So they're dealing with it, but you claim that they are not touching it, which maybe it will bring us to.
It's true. It's true.
No, I know it's true.
You know, the geophysicists, geologists, you have to separate between geologists and geophysicists. Geologists go out in the field, they'll pick up a rock and they'll lick it. And whether it sticks to their tongue and how it sticks to the tongue, they can tell what it's composed of, or perhaps not exactly what it's composed of, but they can tell what type of rock it is. Geophysicist sits behind his computer and analyzes data that either is collected in the field or not, or somebody else has collected in the field, and they don't touch the earth, they don't touch the subject of their study. And you know, as a geophysicist, you asked whether there's any connection between what I do as a geophysicist and an artist. And I'm going to speak about what I do as an artist, but not what you said, not as a performance artist, but as a sound and video artist. And then I'll get to the video, I'll get to the performance through that. But as a geophysicist, I analyze the layers of the earth. So I take my instruments, I put them along, and I collect data. And the funny thing is, I use sound. I use acoustic waves. I use sound to collect data to understand what is underneath our feet. And I was thinking about it while I was listening to everybody else talk. I also use sound in my art, but in a different way. So instead of using sound to detect different layers, which I do in my science, I use sound and I squish it all into one layer to create soundscapes. So it's sort of like the opposite process of what I'm doing in my science. And the interesting thing about being a geophysicist and in the context of thinking that was said here about memory and culture, and you know, I just spent 2 days in Caesarea doing a survey of Fridemann, and somebody asked me whether you know, okay, it's a pile of rocks. You see the pile, you see the heap of rocks. What do you care? A rock is a rock is a rock. But no, I mean, these rocks at some point were people's houses. And in a place like Caesarea, which has been continuously, more or less continuously occupied for 2,000 years, you're talking about different layers, you're talking about different cultures, you're talking about different periods, you're talking about different uses. And what's left are the physical stones that build the place. What's missing are the soundscapes and the sites, what the place actually look like, people look like, what they wore, what they ate, what the city smelled like. And in my art, I try to recreate that, try to recreate sounds and try to recreate, you know, I try to define a place according to the different layers of sound that are left. So it's kind of like a reverse archaeology. I'll take different recordings of different places. I'll take interviews with people to get the cultural side. I'll take ambient sounds, and I'll put them all into one soundscape. So instead of taking them apart like an archaeology would, I'm bringing them together to create this sort of chaos or not a destruction, but the opposite. So that was kind of a long answer about whether there's any connection. So there definitely is a connection between the two. I have to say that right after I said that sentence to Goren about how the geophysicist never touches the earth, he dragged me to Sea and Sun, which is this sort of beach area. He told me to dig a pit, dig a hole in the earth, and get in. So I did. So I touched the earth. I got in. The geophysicist got in the hole and touched the earth with, you know, with everything, my entire body. And they covered my head and put the sand in my ears and my eyes and in my mouth until I couldn't breathe, just couldn't hear. And both as a geophysicist and an artist, that was a really powerful experience.
I have to say that talking about what Danny said before, and I'm going to ask Fridemann in a minute, one of your creation was a very huge photo, like you took in this trench while you were putting your body inside, touching the earth, as you said, but the ritual memory, the real evidence of this action was stayed as a huge photo, and you decided to put it on your wide wall in your studio. No, which is a kind of exposition, and you create all the time, even your sound, with the background of this action, like you're putting your skin in the earth. So it's a kind of a circle. I found it as a circle, and I was trying to ask myself if, like Revital said before, coming from the surgeon to the creation of the body work, and you coming from your research, you in a way clean all your disturbing object around you, and as you are sometimes naked, you get with the skin to touch the earth, to touch those layers that you say. So I was trying to understand the process of coming and going, this kind of dialogue with the layers that you were talking before. That's what I'm trying to dig, if I may say.
And if you find the answer, please let me know.
Didn't you tell them that you're this 400 Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
That's in the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea. That's a research in the Dead Sea.
Everybody's like, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of my scientific projects, and something that Doron keeps coming back to in his artistic interpretation, in 2010, we drilled a borehole in the Dead Sea that was half a kilometer deep. So we went to the bottom of the Dead Sea, its deepest part. So we went into 300 meters water depth with a pipe before reaching the lake floor. And then we drilled another 460 meters to extract sediment from the bottom of the subsurface of the Dead Sea, to learn about climate change and to learn about what it was like in this area, in the area of the Levant and the creating of civilization during the last 250,000 years.
Pnina, by the way, Pnina, it's a great match with you because you relating to the memory through the scrolls, like in all the places that it was found. But Michael is talking about the Dead Sea on the other side, inside the sea itself, with the stories of the cultures through his digging there.
Yeah, I feel I can relate to many layers of his of what he's talking about, because first of all, it's not just I can relate to the different layers, especially in Caesarea that he's talking about. You can't hear?
We cannot hear.
Okay, try again. Now?
Yeah, now we hear. Yeah, now we hear.
I'm saying that I can relate to many layers of what you're talking about as an archaeologist. First of all, in Caesarea, when you're talking about different layers of civilization, and when going to the Dead Sea, of course, the scrolls are called the Dead Sea Scrolls because they were found in the desert along the shores of the Dead Sea. So yeah, so we're talking about different layers of culture and different layers of ground, earth, And yeah, it's on many, many levels, spiritual, material, and so on.
Yes, it could be. Ratna, do you want to add? Yeah, so we are with you.
So let me share my screen so I can show the image and then maybe talk a little bit about my concept about it. Okay. So. Okay. Can you all see the image that I'm sharing?
No.
No, not yet.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So basically for me, the idea of beyond the skin is exploring the inner self. So I have just written down few notes which I would like to read if it's okay.
Yeah.
Regarding this works. Okay. So it's recognize that each person is a multifaceted being. Beyond gender and color lie unique experiences, emotions, and aspirations. By acknowledging this complexity, we move closer to understanding their inner self. So this concept can be very well explained by comparing the layers of skin and our body chakras, which I have tried to show through my artwork. So the yellow dots that you see in the center of the body are the chakras. And I'll just try to relate those chakras with the layers of skin and how they work together or similar. So the epidermis, that is the outermost layer of our skin, acts as a protective barrier. It shields us from external factors such as UV radiation, pathogens, and physical damage. Just like the epidermis, which is visible and serves as our initial interface with the world, our external behavior and appearance are what others perceive first. So when we just see the skin and we understand the person, we have some image of that person. But then the root chakra that is located at the base of the spine, which I have tried to show with this yellow spot, is also, it grounds us to the physical world. It relates to survival, stability, and our connection to the earth. Just as the epidermis protects us externally, the root chakra anchors us in the material realm. So that is how I've compared this one chakra. And then with the second layer, that is dermis, I have compared another chakra. So dermis is beneath the epidermis, and it contains connective tissues, blood vessels, and nerve endings. This layer corresponds to our emotional and psychological state. And that is how I have compared the second chakra, that is sacral chakra, which is positioned in the lower abdomen. And like the dermis, it's where our feelings and desires reside. A deeper layer that shapes our experiences and influence our overall well-being. And then the third layer, that is hypodermis, the deepest layer of skin. I have compared it to the solar plexus chakra. Also, there are some Sanskrit terms to this chakras as well, which I have also used Sanskrit text in my works. So this last chakra is the essence that fuels our existence beyond the physical. It's the seat of our true self hidden beneath the surface. So that is how I have compared the layers of skin. Like as you go deep, you understand better. So that is how I have compared ourselves. Like as you go dig deeper into yourself, you find your true self. So I also share one more image with you all, which is again, can you see the second image, which I'm sharing now?
We see your sides.
1 minute.
Same image.
1 minute. I can share it again. So can you see it now or no?
No, not yet.
Just give me 1 minute. Otherwise, I'll just read, but I just really hope I can show you the image. So just give me let me try one more time. Okay, yeah. Can you see it now?
No, yeah.
Okay, so this image, again, the concept is the same. Here I have shown the 3 layers with the 3 colors that you see, the red one, again, the skin layers, and in the center you see Om. I don't know if everybody is aware of Om, what does it mean? So I can just read a little bit about Om, because rest of the things are almost the same. Okay,
You
so
won't believe, but the left side of the image is the number 3. In number 3, it looks like 3, and you're talking about the 3 dimension. It's amazing.
yes, yes. So again, there is a Sanskrit shlok which I can share the meaning of later on. It has English translation as well. But right now, if we talk about just the layers as we were supposed to just compare our works with. So again, it's epidermis, dermis, and the innermost layer, that is subcutaneous fat, and gender and color as superficial labels. So if I talk about the outer layer, it's just the gender and color, which we see as superficial labels. And then the second layer is the unseen layers beneath the surface, which is our beliefs, values, memories, and emotions. And these layers shape our authentic self, which is the second layer, I would say. They are like the hidden circles within the symbol waiting to be explored. So we don't see them directly, but they are there. So we still need to explore that self. And then comes the innermost, the core. At our core lies the eternal Om, a universal sound symbolizing existence, consciousness, and bliss. It remains unchanged despite external fluctuations. Similarly, our true self persists beyond life's transient aspects. So that is the inner core, the Om, that is just not affected by anything, any outer world or anything that we just see outside. So that is how I have compared the layers of skin and my works, which I have created for Beyond the Skin. Yeah, so there are a few more works, but I think these 2 works relate more to the layers of skin. So that is why I wanted to discuss these 2 today specifically.
It's funny because when we had the project, if you may remember that we were talking about the architecture, you remember with the project with the honor to Solar Wheat,
yes,
there was a kind of structure of levels of like the layers in architecture. And now
right.
somehow I get back to it with your 3 dimensions here.
Right,
I
because
don't know whether you follow me.
Right, I know. So
Reminded
like,
me a lot.
yeah, because I'm a sculptor, so I think somehow that 3 dimension comes to my works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we add something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
for-
yeah,
for
yeah.
me,
Any
it's
question?
really interesting to see the correlation with your inspiration of tantric art. Can you say that it's connected to tantric art?
I would not say tantric, but it's more like search of inner self. Yeah, so that is how I have connected Om to that. Like, it's not just the skin that we see, there is much more within us, which we need to explore, and which is the real us, which we don't get time to explore much. So that is where I think we also should just give ourselves some time and just find out that self.
In my research about
Ratna,
Yes.
would you say something about the technique of your creation, the technique science?
So this I was just preparing for the show, like you told me. I'm still working on it. So I'm mixing some medium, and I'm using some paper mache, and I'm creating this now.
Yeah. Okay, very nice.
I just wanted to add another nice connection with the previous image that you showed with the
Yes.
ventricle shape
Mm-hmm.
around and within the human body. In
Mm-hmm.
sacred geometry, it's actually the merging point between the spiritual body the spiritual patterns and physical, actual physical patterns, which we can see in quantum physics.
Yes, yes, it is.
Actually, quantum physics is one of the closest fields to spirituality today. And this shape is called the Taurus.
Yes, that's correct. Like you have said it. I'm sorry, there was a lot of echo. I don't know why.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yes, so I would just like to conclude now with 2 lines. So to conclude, like you said, like for future or something like that, I was just thinking, I would say, remember that beneath the skin, we share a common humanity. Our fears, hope, and dreams bind us together. And by recognizing this, we honor the beauty of our inner selves. Let's strive for a world where we see beyond the surface and celebrate the richness within each soul. So that is how I would just like to conclude. Like we need to just go beyond the surface of our body and see within.
Thank you so much. Is Avi Roseni still with us? Avi? Needed to leave, anyhow. Fridemann, can we ask you?
We came all the way from Vienna.
From Vienna.
So,
Well,
but
yeah, okay. It's just that I know very few about your own research, but I know that it has to be with photography, with archive, a kind of layers of archive, I would say. Am I right that you, in a way, you investigating evidence through photography?
Actually, I try to use video. With video, but I use video just as a tool to observe communication processes. And if you talk about layers, it's probably related. So I developed an artistic art-based research method that I call the synoptic portrait.
Okay.
Which means if you think about yourself, you talk different as a son or a daughter to your parents. You talk different to your father than to your mother. You talk different as a partner. You talk different as a working colleague or as a father yourself or as a mother. So knowing this is it's a very, everybody nods at the moment as it. I made it a strategy, and I'm coming from the oral history actually. So me, myself, interested in the Nazi history of my grandparents, started comparing the stories of my grandmother and all their sisters, and I found out I get not one narrative, I get each sister tells me a different narrative, and if my cousin is asking, he or she gets another narrative from the same person. So this is the source, and I did it also with Holocaust survivors, so because I wanted to find the communist resistant fighters, so that's where I come from. But I made it a method in recording people talking to each other, but one person, like the person that I portray, is talking not once, is talking plenty of times. For example, my friend Machon spoke twice in Hebrew, twice in Czech, and twice in German language. Why twice? Because in each language he spoke once to a man and once to a woman. And then there is age coming into, then there's background coming into, and you will see it's each time a different Viola, or it's each time a different, it's portrayed person a different. So the question is about, and this goes out also in the question of collective memory, because it's always the two people are conducting a kind of, it's performative, and the listener's role is much, in my opinion, undervalued, because the listeners are co-constructors of the story each time. So that's why the story is becoming different each time. But using video to record it makes it possible to compare it, and that's why it's a synoptic, looking at all these stories at the same time. You can now probably refer to the Latin word persona, who is a person, and it's actually coming from the Greek mask. It's
Right.
like the sound going through the mask, so we don't know who is behind the mask, and it's always sounding different. And in this, I'm going far beyond like the video. For example, I had a very, very good friend of mine. He was born in 1905. He was a dancer from Vienna, a Jewish dancer, who came here to the country in 1932, but he came back to Austria in 1956. And I portrayed all his life, and we were friends till his end. And we agreed that if I have the guts to do it, I make a death mask. Like it was used with the actors. So you can go to the Burgtheater and you have all the famous actors with a death mask. You know it from Beethoven, whatever. So I did this death mask. When you take off the mask, you look into the mask. A friend of mine photographed it, right? It pops out. You look in the negative face. You can't see the face. You can't think of the face from the inside.
Doron?
It's interesting.
Talking about going
Excuse me, Doron.
my great grandfather was.
Doron?
We can't hear.
Doron.
In anthropology, it was used like the Academy of Fine Arts where I'm working. They used to make casts of prisoners of wars, Russian and Ukrainian, Slavic. They were casting the heads for the anthropology in the monarchy time, and it won't go on. So I did a cast. No, I did it. A friend of mine, two friends of mine, casted my own head. This was the experience that I thought about when you talked about being. So I was. My head was a plaster block, and I was inside.
But it has a lot of connotations. I see it's very interesting because it's again the sound in one way, and the stepping, the casting, as you said, it's again like using the soul face and checking it, and again, we were talking about the layers of memory, which of course gets another meaning. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think that
We met when we did the project together with my mother.
Yeah.
We got interviews of my 5-year-old grandson. Us, it's amazing the way
Amazing. Yeah. Actually, we having down a new artist coming from the Dolomites. This guy, the performer artist. I will tell you about him. Machon, Amir. It's exactly the guy.
This is the best.
This is the negative.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Dimensional. Okay. Amazing. The dimension is amazing. Yeah.
Can you describe what did you feel on your face when the mask was created? What was your physical feeling, not emotional feeling?
It's like you have this cream and then you have the blast. So it was not the point. The point was that you're just completely isolated. I heard the people outside speaking. And actually it was 3 Arabic friends of mine. So they all spoke Arabic with each other. And I had only a little pipe from my mouth.
Breathe.
Just to breathe.
You know, Yuda asked something very interesting. I tell you why. We have a Fridemann, we have an artist, his name is Daniel Landau, and he's dealing with the virtual reality, you know, like the way that you put it and you observe through, and it's exactly what you said. זה נכון מה שאתה שאלת, זה מאוד קרוב לדניאל לנדאו. It's the way that you look inside and you observe other people and you get another information from your own feeling, which is a very interesting point of view.
I can show it. It's good. The other thing I described. Then the synoptic video portraits I have links I can send you.
Okay.
So, but this is like I started with this kind of Francis sculpting.
Yeah. The three sides.
And then I
Wow.
came into the box.
Wow.
And then we did and this was it.
Yeah.
Like
Can you show us?
We had an artist here, a performer, Danny Zaka, inside the Bakas. We had
presentation, so we can share it with everyone.
Yeah, we should show it to you.
So
Where it is in front of this camera.
this cover.
Yeah, here.
So this is what I talked about, like the Francis Galton kind of photography. That was kind of mimicking what my great grandfather as an anthropologist eugenicist did. And then so my friends put me in the box. But this was
Amazing.
And then because the thing, so it came out in the end, it was like
You know, that's a story, but never mind. We should not deal with it because you need to cover your body before you cast. And we had a performance artist. He was neighbor to me, and there was a young guy came, and he was lying in a big box, but they didn't smear him professionally, and this guy was almost glued to the box, and they had to go all the way to cut his hair in order to put him out. Okay, guys, did we pass everybody? Amir, you didn't say anything.
My name is Amir.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'll talk next time.
Okay. Yuda, you want to sum up?
I think it was an interesting encounter. We experienced some technical difficulties, which I hope we'll correct in the next sessions. And I personally had a lot of various interesting aspects of the layers, which I think I'll have to ponder upon in the next few days. So thank you very much.
Ratna, I want to show you something.
במסך, מול כולם, everybody will see. Ratna is for you.
Ratna. This is a technique I'm using, like stamping with medical stamps, like the Indian traditional. And it's like you can see it's something like atomic. It has some scientific thing. And the background is made from the original printed material Indian that my daughters brought me from India because they know how I love it. So I think
It's very similar.
it's a medical stamp.
Meanwhile, the discussion I mentioned to Revital that she brought it and we showed it actually in exhibition in Jaffa. You know, the first exposure. But it was the clothes that you got from India.
Yeah, my daughter is brought me and I used the coverage. But I saw this printing technique 30 years ago, 40 years ago when I was in India for the first time. And it impressed me also, so it's like, I make carpets from these stamps and work on them with embroidery and stuff. But I was very much, I liked your circle, it reminds me, and also the Ron, that's why I'm showing it, because the Ron.
We made all of us together. We made a trip to India with Ratna, and we had twice the big shows, the architecture department. Where was it? In Ahmedabad. It was in Ahmedabad. Yeah. At that time we. Yeah. By the way, you have a work with leather, a sculpture. Either Amir Escher or someone you had the artwork that you, I think that you, Kobe Macmillan has it. Your piece with a piece of leather, talking about skin. You remember? Anyhow, friends, thank you so much for joining. Omri, thank you for your donation.
Thank you very much.
To have you with us. Thank you so much. Some people left already. I see that Nicole is still with us. I didn't see him because he's probably hear what we say. Danny, thank you for sharing your time with us. Ratna, my dear, we need to say big thank you to Professor Yitzhak Zilinsky for the beautiful presentation at the beginning, and all the other people who were with us. I think that we studied some few connections and new ideas. We have a new Zoom next week, exactly next Tuesday. So you're welcome to follow if you like. We shall interview other members this time. I think that a little bit more scientists this time, but you are welcome. Whoever wants to join as a viewer, you're mostly welcome. And thank you very much for being with us. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Doron. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you to
Bye bye.